She was one of the most formidable ships in the US Navy, a proud vessel that had served as the flagship of the Fifth Fleet. She played a crucial role helping to end World War II, but it was her final secret mission that would cement her name in history, becoming forever linked with one of the most harrowing naval disasters of all time. The USS Indianapolis was born of treaty and compromise, laid down in 1930 at the New York Shipbuilding Corporation. She emerged as a Portland-class heavy cruiser precisely calibrated to respect the 1922 Washington Naval Treaty's 10,000-ton limit. Faithfully, her designers installed expansive unarmored fuel tanks running along her midsection, creating a catastrophic vulnerability that would seal her demise. The crew represented America's finest, 1,195 men averaging just 19 years of age, many facing their first deployment at sea. They came from farms and cities across 46 states. What made their story remarkable wasn't just how they died, but how the survivors lived, maintaining discipline and protecting each other through nearly 5 days in shark-infested waters. The wreck of the Indianapolis was discovered in August of 2017 with a team funded by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen. The site is approximately 330 miles east of the Philippines, near the Marianas Trench at a depth of about 5,500 meters in the Philippine Sea, which also makes her one of the deepest wrecks. July 16, 1945, USS Indianapolis prepares to embark on her top-secret mission. The dockside is unusually awash with top admirals and dignitary. In her cargo hold are components for Little Boy, the atomic bomb that would soon be dropped on Hiroshima. In record time, she delivers the components to Tinian Island, unaware that the mission would seal her fate. The ship's crew, mostly unaware of their deadly cargo, continue their duties with precision and discipline. The journey to Tinian is swift, and the ship reaches the island in record time. After unloading its cargo, Indianapolis is ordered to sail to Guam and then proceed to Leyte Gulf for training exercises. The crew expects a routine return to their operations, but fate has other plans. The I-58 was the largest Imperial Japanese submarine that prowled the Philippine Sea. In late July 1945, Lieutenant Commander Hashimoto captained this new advanced B-3 type submarine. It was equipped with Japan's Kaiten manned torpedoes. Controls were installed, giving the pilot full authority of the weapon. For days before encountering the Indianapolis, I-58 had searched for American targets. Her crew, knowing Japan's situation, grew more dire by the day. Hashimoto had already released several Kaiten without success. By now, desperation gripped him and his crew as they searched for a ship, any ship, to justify the long, perilous hunt. Having just completed their secret mission delivering the atomic bomb components to Tinian, the crew was heading towards Leyte for training exercises. Captain McVeigh, concerned about their unescorted status, had ordered standard watches. In the hours before the tragedy struck, the USS Indianapolis sailed steadily through calm Pacific waters. The ship's radar system was malfunctioning, and due to classified orders, they maintained radio silence. On the night of July 29th, the submarine surfaced to recharge her batteries under darkness. At approximately 11 p.m., a lookout spotted a silhouette on the horizon. Hashimoto ordered I-58 to dive and approach. Through his periscope, he observed what he identified as an American battleship sailing straight and unescorted, a perfect target for what would become history's most consequential submarine attack. These final peaceful moments represented the quiet before a storm. Most men were asleep in their bunks when midnight approached, unaware of the Japanese submarine lurking in the darkness ahead. Just after midnight on July 30th, as Indianapolis sailed unescorted through the Philippine Sea, disaster struck. 2 torpedoes from the Japanese submarine I-58 ripped through her hull. The first torpedo destroyed much of the ship's bow, while the second struck near the fuel tanks and munition stores, causing massive secondary explosions. Captain Charles McVeigh III, who had been asleep in his cabin, rushed to the bridge to assess the situation. As darkness enveloped the ship, men desperately flung themselves into the water to avoid being burnt. At approximately 12:15 a.m., the explosions knocked out all electrical power, plunging the ship into darkness. Men who had been sleeping below deck were violently thrown from their bunks. Those on watch were either killed instantly or scrambled to respond. Within minutes, the bow began to sink rapidly. Seawater rushed through the gaping holes, flooding compartments and trapping many sailors. The bow continued to sink. The stern rose dramatically out of the water. The ship's propellers were still turning, creating a horrific scene as they lifted completely out of the water. And within just 12 minutes, she was gone beneath the waves, taking approximately 300 men with her. The survivors, many without life jackets or rafts, were left stranded in the vast open ocean. Drifting in the open ocean with no lifeboats or supplies, the men faced a relentless enemy, nature herself. Exposure, dehydration, and starvation took their toll, but the most terrifying threat lurked beneath the surface. The wounded and weak were the first to go. Survivors recall the horror of seeing shipmates pulled under, helpless against the relentless predators. As days passed, men succumbed to exhaustion and delirium. Some drank seawater in desperation, causing hallucinations and madness. Groups of men clung to one another, hoping that the rescue would come soon, but the Navy had no idea the ship had gone down. Because of their secrecy of the mission and communication failures, no distress signal was ever received, leaving the sailors to fight for survival alone. In the oil-slicked waters of the Philippine Sea, survivors faced a nightmare beyond comprehension. Hundreds of men floated in clusters or alone, many injured and bleeding.
You on the Indianapolis?
What happened?
The blood drew sharks, mostly oceanic whitetips and tiger sharks, that began circling the scattered groups of sailors. The attacks typically came at dawn and dusk, with sharks bumping survivors before suddenly tearing away limbs or dragging screaming men underwater. Survivors reported watching helplessly as friends simply disappeared beneath the surface with a brief cry. Some men were attacked while delirious from drinking salt water, never realizing what took them. The discovery was purely accidental. It came unexpectedly when a routine patrol flight spotted the survivors. Lieutenant Wilbur Gwynn, flying a PV-1 Ventura bomber, noticed an oil slick in the water and decided to investigate. What he found was horrifying. Hundreds of men, barely clinging to life, scattered across the ocean. He immediately radioed for help. Soon, seaplanes and rescue ships were dispatched and arrived, pulling the survivors from the water. By the time rescue efforts were fully underway, only 316 of the nearly 1,200 crew members remained alive. By the time rescue ships arrived, only 316 men remained alive. The sinking of the USS Indianapolis represents more than just a maritime disaster. It raised serious questions about naval protocols, communication systems, and accountability. Captain McVeigh was court-martialed, the only captain in US naval history to be tried for losing his ship in combat. For years, survivors fought to clear McVeigh's name. In 2000, thanks to their efforts and the testimony of Commander Hashimoto himself, Congress passed a resolution exonerating the captain, but it came too late. McVeigh, who had taken his own life in 1968. For decades, the final resting place of Indianapolis remained a mystery. In 2017, an expedition led by billionaire and philanthropist Paul Allen located the wreckage over 5,500 meters below the surface. The discovery provided long-awaited closure for families and historians alike. The ship was remarkably well preserved, a haunting reminder of the tragedy that unfolded over 70 years ago. Marine researchers and naval historians analyzed the wreck, piecing together the final moments of the vessel as it descended into the abyss. Today, the memory of the USS Indianapolis is honored at various memorials, including the National Memorial in Indianapolis, Indiana. Survivors and their descendants continue to gather, sharing stories of heroism, resilience, and sacrifice. The disaster led to critical changes in naval protocols, ensuring that no ship would go unreported for extended periods ever again. The USS Indianapolis remains a solemn reminder of war's brutality, courage, and sacrifice.